Well, what we're looking at here is the current temperature and as well what's going on with the precipitation. It's 22 in Lexington. Look at that. It's now freezing in Williamsburg, 42 down in Harlan. So you've still got some rain into our southeastern counties, but the possibility is there for that icy mix to head in your direction. So be aware that's going to be a potential threat for you this morning. Now, closer to home, via our St. Joseph Hospital live weather bug camera, look at this. It's pretty much iced over. We're not seeing much. The impact of that freezing rain from overnight certainly being felt. As far as the amounts are concerned, from starting last evening and continuing into this morning, generally about 0.2 of an inch to 0.3 of an inch here in the Bluegrass. I've seen a number of 1/4 of an inch reports. That is just enough to pretty much encase anything that's outside, your car, if you're parked outside, bring weaker tree limbs down, cause power outages. We've seen plenty of that. And as well, cause hazardous driving conditions. Now, the highest totals I have seen have been out west towards E-Town and Bardstown, western counties, way out there on the fringe of the LAX 18 viewing area. E-Town and Bardstown, around about 0.3 to, I've seen a few 0.4 to 1/2 an inch reports out there. It's been lighter here, but it's widespread in the Bluegrass, and we are definitely dealing with the impact of it. What does that mean generally as far as how much ice causes problems? Well, if you stay below 1/4 of an inch, yeah, it's a nuisance. You get some slick roads, but it doesn't really generally do much. When you get into that 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch range, which is what a lot of us have been pushing, that's where you start to see the cars and streets coated, weaker tree limbs coming down, sporadic power outages. So we're just into that territory here. Fortunately, we've held shy of where it could be more hazardous with more widespread issues when you hit that 1/2 an inch to 3/4 of an inch range, which it was looking like we could. So we've managed to avoid that. And of course, the epic, historic ice storms of our past, 03 and 09, that was up to and over an inch of ice. Thank goodness those don't happen very often. And how do you measure it? Well, get out there with a ruler. You got to exclude the tree branch. You can't count that in the thickness. So you count the thickest part of the ice that's accumulated and then the thinnest part. Add those two numbers together, divide them by 2, and that gives you your general ice accumulation there. I had about 0.2 of an inch at my house this morning, and I've seen a number of reports of that. We had that coating of ice from freezing rain, and now we've had the sleet come in on the tail end of it. And this is what streets look like, at least in downtown Lexington, from our 21C Museum Hotel weatherbug camera. So be aware that's an issue. Way out in Letcher County, this is US 23 at Payne Gap. Roads are generally still wet. And a lot of folks are wondering, well, it hasn't hit us yet. It was mostly rain. Where's all the ice? Well, it's heading in your direction. Notice how those icy conditions have dropped south. Campbellsville, down around Somerset and London, working their way into Jackson. Owsley County, as you get into our eastern counties. Folks that have been wet overnight, well, that ice is about to set up shop for you because this entire batch is shifting south and the freeze line as well doing the same. That colder air starting to work its way in where you've stayed above freezing overnight. We're seeing a break in the action, but there's also additional development west. So we're not out of the woods, but the more widespread freezing rain here in Lexington and much of the Bluegrass is backing off. What we'll be left with low clouds, freezing drizzle, occasional bits of sleet and snow mixing in. So yeah, we're still going to have issues going into the afternoon. We still have our ice storm warning in effect, but they're dropping our northern counties from the winter storm warnings as this more widespread and heavier precipitation backs off. LAX 18 Storm Tracker Future Track takes this morning wave southeast. We're getting into that bit of a break, but look what happens. Watch out southeast. This is where you may have your best potential southeast for additional light icing, possibly 1/10 of an inch or 2. And that's from mid to late morning. So we don't really get rid of it until later this afternoon. It won't be anywhere near an issue here in the Bluegrass, but our southeastern Kentuckys will take a hit. And then we'll see some additional precipitation coming in Saturday. Could see some light freezing rain and drizzle Saturday because we're not going to warm up anytime soon. It's going to get cold and stay cold. But here's that additional accumulation possibility there. You can see a couple 1/10 of an inch of ice. So roads could remain treacherous for our southeastern counties even into the afternoon. And then we're talking about these temperatures staying cold. All this accumulated ice, this sleet, this hint of snow that some folks up north have seen. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. The high today, upper 20s around freezing. The low tonight, way down in the 20s. We may not crack freezing tomorrow, and then into the weekend, we're in the 20s. We've got the leading edge of some Arctic air that's going to come barreling in here, so it is going to get frigid later this weekend. That's the other issue that we're going to have to deal with. And on top of that, could be some active rounds of winter weather. These are straight shots of snow coming our way next week.